Hey friends, today we're looking at Doctrinal Mastery Review 8. If your pacing guide allows you the wiggle room to have a review day like this can be a fun, different kind of day. You'll notice this one is focused on the idea that visuals help with memorization. We're now into 11 Doctrinal Mastery references and key phrases, and that's hard for students to remember what goes with what. So the idea here is, can we use visuals and kind of do a fun activity to help students try to remember better? And so we want to first illustrate that visuals are helpful before we set them loose with doctrinal mastery. So this is where I might consider the idea was maybe just read a list of things to students. Don't let them read it. You're just going to read it to them. Fridge, bucket, screwdriver, telephone, guitar, tomato, donut, bed, axe, and umbrella. And then say, go ahead and list the 10. Now, if this works well, they'll struggle listing the 10. And then you'll go ahead and say, I'm going to show you pictures now. And I want to give you just a minute to look at that and try to memorize it using the pictures. And then have them list it back. And what could be fun just to add to this is they say bucket, say, okay, what color was the bucket? Or they say telephone, what color was the telephone? Or the sheets on the bed, or the tomato, just to be silly. But the hope is that you can illustrate when we see things and we evolve images, it helps us to memorize and things stick in our heads a little bit better. So if we go back to the teacher's manual, you can see we're going to give the students the 11 references and say we're going to try to use visuals here to try to get this stuck in our head a little bit more. The idea in the manual is you can give them old Ensign magazines or things that way to give them images, or you can just say we're going to draw. But you're going to invite students to try to use images, visuals, to get those key phrases and references to stick in their minds. I might recommend splitting this up. You won't have time for students to do all 11. You might give a group, 1 or 2 to do, or individuals. You decide what's going to be best with your class. But in my experience, to gear them up for success, you got to give a sample. And so here's a look at a possibility for them. And I might show them this. I'll leave this in the description below. So to share what it might look like, you can say, here's Matthew 5. And here's a picture. See, this man says he's 5 years old. This is Matthew. He's 5, but in truth, he's really 16. And it's kind of silly, but the silly ones actually stick a little bit better. So have fun with this. Encourage the students to have fun with this. And so you can say, here's an example. Let your light so shine before. There's a picture of a man. And so you say, we're just going to get a couple pictures. You can draw them. You can find them in a magazine. You can, whatever you want to do. But you're looking to get pictures to be helpful in remembering that Matthew 5:16 is let your light so shine before men. Here's one more as an example from John 7:17. This is John. This is actually John. You notice that in this case, this is the same idea. He's got 7 fingers up in this. So there's John 7. Sometimes I wouldn't worry too much about always having something for everything. But just to get them, John 7 is, if any man will do his will, he shall know of the doctrine. And it's silly, but the idea is to use images to be helpful here. Again, going back to our teacher manual, the idea is to let them loose, let them have fun, but make sure you show them some examples of what this could look like. Maybe in between you can model some students, say, oh, here's what this group is showing, just to get the creative juices going. Make sure you leave some time at the end to review and maybe show them, keep them. You could review the next day. If you review for a couple days in a row, they're more likely to stick as well. So don't just have this be a one and done, but use this as a resource for the coming days. An idea for a review. I hope that it's helpful.